So Wu Yang will start with the serve. The black side of her racket is the inverted rubber for attacking more so. Outright service point. So split 1-1, and since I found access to the information, the 10-year-old from Japan is Sora Matsushima. So 4 years in a row of winning his age group at the Japan National Championships. Kasumi Ishikawa a bit confused there by the bounce of the ball. Wants to clean the table, make sure everything's as expected. You can see the blue sponge on the rubber. This means chances are good that it is a tackier rubber, a Chinese rubber. We've seen that with several of the Japanese women using the Chinese setup. Is it the same quality as that of the national team for China? That's a question I don't have the answer to. Oh, crushing shot. The opening backhand was pretty gutsy. But if you're going to take a backhand against a chopper, early in the rally is the best time to do it for the most part, unless you're Karakasovic or maybe Krianga. And there are probably a few more current references. I think Darko Jorgic is going to be one of them. But not too many other players go for big backhands consistently winning points. There's 7-time national champion coach Mika Baba, the women's national team coach for Japan. Now, she's been famous for many different reasons, including her table tennis career, but recently when Miu Hirano won the Asian Championships. Oh, man. You saw Mika Baba in the corner. Speaking of corners, though, Kasumi Ishikawa playing very wide, risky play. As soon as topspin comes in, it's going to be more comfortable because there's less spin variation and it's more familiar. I think I mean that more in terms of chops. You just don't see chops quite as much. Of course, the push is a big part of the game, looping long pushes and whatnot. But the chop is such a specialty stroke. It's also interesting, Wu Yang with that forehand attack. Not the last one, but before, she gets low, good full swing, and then just snaps the elbow to keep it compact. A lot of work for Kasumi Ishikawa, but not too much. So many attacks deep to that backhand corner. And we talked about the physical fitness earlier of Wang Manyu, but Wu Yang just the same. Beautiful rally into the body. Kasumi Ishikawa taking advantage of bringing Wu Yang in. It's easier said than done. With Wu Yang in at the table attacking, most players are done. That's something you don't want to deal with. If she makes the first one and she attacks the second, you're usually in a very passive position. One thing I can say, one of many things I can say about Kasumi Ishikawa, she can keep her racket up and play at a high pace. Right now, Wu Yang's attacks haven't started bothering Kasumi. Have to imagine that was a fly. Something getting in the face there, Kasumi Ishikawa. So calm down, don't get nervous, don't get anxious, just trying to read the body language of that hand of Kasumi Ishikawa. Now Wu Yang, for those of you a little newer to table tennis, has short pips on the backhand side, which means that she can not only use them to vary the spin quite well, a little more control, but she can attack with them as well. Just too wide, good step around for Ishikawa. Left-handed players tend to do this, tends to be one of the specialties. Ooh, Xiao Zhan in the background. All right, hadn't seen him yet this tournament. A lot of strong players here from China. Very risky ball. smothering forehand block. A little bit more than a block, putting a bit of pace on it. But the way she closed the racket and guided the ball forward, we're only going to see Wu Yang's side here, but by the bounce, you'll be able to tell it jammed her a bit, and then she looked back down with confusion. So 6 game points to take the first game against one of the most unbeaten players by foreigners on the Chinese national team. There it is. Kasumi Ishikawa catches the ball, gonna put it down and take care of business. Get your cameras out. Get ready, game 2. Kasumi Ishikawa versus Wu Yang coming up right after this. Back for game number 2, Kasumi Ishikawa with the serve, bottom of the screen. Now again, Wu Yang is almost undefeated in the last 5 years by anyone not on the Chinese national team, which means Kasumi Ishikawa is already off to a great start, 11-4 in game 1. We just haven't seen many mistakes. I mean, the most Kasumi Ishikawa can have so far mistake-wise is 4. At least any that cost her a point. Wow. Footwork. This is one thing that a lot of people forget, but if you're playing choppers a lot, the importance of footwork. You think, well, I've got my opponent this far from the table. As long as I can spin the ball and block when they attack, maybe that's good enough. No. Kasumi Ishikawa getting into position every time, turning the corner, meeting the ball where it's bouncing, setting herself up for the best possible shot time and time again. But much like the first point of the match, the service returned into the net. Many choppers are quite deceptive with that backhand serve. Use the inverted rubber, the black side, then twiddle it quickly. I had an interesting conversation about Han Ying, one of the other greats. Some would say the greatest chopper in the game right now for women, but her and Wu Yang, it's quite interesting to see. And world rankings are not always an indicator of who's the stronger player, depending on how much they're participating. And that'll be even more the case next year, which will encourage people to play. Not sure if Wu Yang lost in the light, something. Seemed a bit confused, trying to find some answers here. Now, Wu Yang actually speaks more English, little fun fact, than most players on the Chinese national team. Still not happy with the bounce, but confused. This is why they switch sides after each game and in the middle of game 7 if it goes to that. Oh, right, Han Ying. I'll come back to that in a moment. I'm trying to think, what was it? So I was talking with some of the German staff about how many of the men, they don't lose to any of the women from the German team, except Han Ying. She can beat some players even inside, like right around the top 20, some of the men in the world. And many said they couldn't handle her chops. They couldn't tell when it was dead, when it was floating, and when it was loaded. For the most part, Kasumi Ishikawa is doing a good job reading the spin. Haven't seen too many mistakes from her again. So far, it's balanced here. It's even, at least in game 2. It is always interesting with the game developing. I think Ho Ying Chao from China being one of the early short pips choppers, being able to attack with the backhand to vary the spin. Again, around that corner, it's danger for Wu Yang. Kasumi so quick to turn that corner. Where she's going to go from that point, well, that's her choice. She's in close enough to the net. She can create these wide angles. Blast off the bounce. Ishikawa again in control. 3 points in a row. Oh, inside out forehand. The long stroke and the longer part of the table. Something we haven't seen in a while, not that I can recall from Wu Yang. Maybe it's partially because Kasumi didn't get it back. Completely fooled there. Looked like she was going the other way. Kasumi hearing some screams from deep in the fans here. I'm really curious. It's tough not to get ahead of ourselves, not in this tournament, but just thinking about Japan's uprising in table tennis right now. How many women they have. You know, you've got 3 leading the team: Kasumi, Ishikawa, Miyu Hirano, Mima Ito. What it's going to look like in 2020. Oh, beautiful counter, the forehand, way out wide to the forehand side. Short stroke reaction there from Wu Yang. Still seems a bit confused in the lighting. Barely even a follow through on that. The angle again. Apology there for the top of the net. We heard a little bit from Wu Yang. Quite rare that we hear anything from Wu Yang. Still not as easy as Kasumi made it look. But as tall as Wu Yang is, and with that wingspan and the fact that she is a defensive specialist, to not even be able to touch the ball. It's Ishikawa. 2 in a row, and this time it's the backhand, the opposite direction. 4 game points, looking at a 2-0 lead. Not yet. Every step to get to the other end of the tightrope. The focus must be there. Beautiful pattern, too deep to the backhand side, but the wide angles, Ishikawa's playing confidently, and it's showing. 2 confident scores, 11-4 and 11-7. Could go to deuce in game 3 if the pattern continues. Let's see, game 3 coming up right after this. back for game number 3. Wu Yang trailing 0-2. Kasumi Ishikawa getting herself prepared, keeping the hand cool and dry. Wu Yang doing the same, fanning her head down. Fans getting comfortable in the crowd after modeling before. That cameraman. So not 2 points on her serves. Wu Yang's used her serves very effectively. The variety in chops, the spin from that other angle. It's great to see Wu Yang, the variety she brings to her chops. Wow, that's a chop. That ball just bending way out to the forehand. I was just thinking in the variety that I was talking about that she can bend the ball either way. Saves it here with some topspin. Now the hand makes it look like it's gonna come the other way, inside out, much like a strawberry receive. But from the camera angle we saw it at, it seemed to be bending out wider to Kasumi's forehand. This is one of those things where Kasumi Ishikawa, when she's making those shots, we applaud her boldness and her confidence. And when she's missing the shots, people would say, calm down, it's not so easy. Play patient against a chopper. Well, technique is whatever works. For the first 2 games, it's worked well for Ishikawa. The start of game 2, we'll see. Excellent point again, taking advantage of having Wu Yang close to the table. It takes a lot of work for Kasumi Ishikawa. You know, so many fans write to me asking about Kasumi Ishikawa. And I think when you're watching, you admire, you're excited to see her play, but we forget that some of these athletes, it's their full-time job to be the best they can possibly be, to be better than they were yesterday, and to come out the best version of themselves they've ever been. Kasumi Ishikawa, as amazing as her performance is, even world number 1 Ju Yuling, there's nobody in table tennis who doesn't have room for improvement. Of course, that's not unique to table tennis, but table tennis has so many different factors here to consider. Placement on the pushes, for example. When you think about playing a chopper, as an attacker, you think about looping a lot. Professionals think about everything. But the quality of push Kasumi took with that forehand, Wu Yang had no idea where it was going. It came deep to the backhand, and suddenly Wu Yang can't take the shot she wanted. She's a little bit out of position. She's less of a threat. Another idea against a chopper when they're a bit behind the table, spinning it softer, more shallow on the table. Easier said than done, but you read the topspin on that serve. Look at that bounce way inside the table, probably halfway between the net and the baseline. And Wu Yang's left with a very awkward ball, so clever Kasumi. This was her serve, this is me, this is what I was doing, this is what I should be doing. It's like a silent film. It's a few occasions now that Wu Yang has earned outright points with her backhand serve. But different ways too, 2 into the net and 1 off the table long. I need to see that one again from a different angle. Looks like Wu Yang would need to see it again from a different angle. Clearly not happy about her vision on that ball. You know, for me, the serve that Kasumi brought out, this is one of my favorite serves that she does. She often does a high toss serve, plays it in near the body, and it kicks wide to the backhand of a right-handed player. Young right back in. Yeah, that shoulder. Playing a chopper sometimes. You know, I talked to Lily Jong of the United States after the Women's World Cup, after playing Sehyo Won. The tricep right under the arm there can get really tight and sore, making it tough for you to lift when you're playing the backhand. Ishikawa was trying to keep the shoulder loose, not strain too much. Pattern there, she's going hard, soft, hard, soft. This is generally something wise to do. Sometimes I'd say much like that. You'll see a pattern where someone loops one and then brings the chopper in and then loops again. After all, against many choppers, the more times you loop, the more spin is on the ball, just keeps accumulating. I thought this was a wiser choice from Ishikawa to try and go patient, but sometimes it can be uncomfortable when you're dealing with rotation and lifting the ball. So that's what it would look like. That's what they have to study from, in addition to, of course, the library on ITTF.com. Right down the line, parallel shot for Ishikawa to make it a one-point game. She's still trailing here. The last several points or so, Wu Yang has been the more successful of the two players. Outstanding play. I'm watching this thinking, please end well. However the point is won, whoever wins this point, just do something spectacular. Wu Yang saving several balls in this rally, and down below the table, the part of it, I'd say one big part of it, is that it's in near the legs. It makes it uncomfortable. We see that from time to time. Choppers having to play a ball right in front of the body. It's going to require them to move the legs out of the way, put some side spin on it. Into the body, right down the middle of the table. 3 in a row for Ishikawa. This isn't just any player. This is the protector. This is Wu Yang, arguably the best chopper in the world, the most unbeaten by foreigners chopper in the world. Kasumi Ishikawa looking to go up 3-0. These next few points say a lot about that. The wide ball, taking advantage, gets a little bit of help from the top of the net and quickly plays it as it sits high, wide out. Kasumi Ishikawa apologizing for the fortune, but you know what? Can't grieve about it too much. She definitely doesn't. She says sorry, but gotta stay focused here. Respect for Wu Yang. She knows that if she loses focus for a moment, suddenly Wu Yang's going to be tied up, and if it's 2-1 instead of 3-0, Kasumi's chances change quite drastically. Nope, that's the clamp, and it's Kasumi Ishikawa, 11-8, a 3-0 lead over the protector, Wu Yang. Let's see, could it happen? Could it be? Mika Baba in the corner definitely can't hurt her chances. There are the scores. Game 4 could be the last game of the match. Stay right here to find out. back for game number 4. This is the moment here. This game right here, Kasumi Ishikawa, if she wins over Wu Yang, I mean, when you beat Ma Long, Timo Boll beat Ma Long at the Men's World Cup. Jung Sung-un did it, not on the World Tour, but at the Asian Championships. It's quite notable. Jung Sung-un becomes that guy. Now, Kasumi is already at a level of celebrity stardom and world-class play that she wouldn't just be that girl that beat Wu Yang. She will still be Kasumi Ishikawa, but this would be outstanding for her. Heavy under and some side spin on that. Well, the underspin, I think, was a big part of why it went into the net. The side spin was part of the reason Kasumi was a little bit out of position to lift the ball enough to keep it out of the net. So, just goes to show you, choppers, one other thing to consider, and for the attackers as well, how important that footwork is. Whoa, Kasumi Ishikawa! You could read the label on the ball as far away as it was. There was no spin when Wu Yang flat hit it. And Ishikawa brings it right back into play and then hits a shot that's so devastating. That was the first backhand from the short pips I had seen. Wu Yang not even in the same continent as that ball. What does Kasumi Ishikawa eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Seriously. 5'2", 5'3", but yet she's got the power of a bulldozer out here. Not easy to do against a ball spinning so heavily from Wu Yang. Will not come down on the table, all grunts aside. Timeout here for Wu Yang makes sense. 4 points to 1, the 3-point differential. This is a coach you might have seen working with Swin Ying Sha, with Yang Yang, some of the different up-and-coming players on the World Tour. And as Wu Yang hydrates and gets some advice, there's no question she's not satisfied with how this match is going. I don't know if avatar is the perfect word, but Wu Yang really looks sort of like a superhuman, like someone who's just an evolved human to the next level. Like as humans get stronger and faster, Wang Manyu the same. They're of that. The genes have developed. Kasumi Ishikawa, no complaints, I'm sure. Physically very strong, very agile, but right now so focused. Again, when I think Kasumi Ishikawa, I think consistency and speed. I don't think power. I think service variation, touch, timing. But right now, she's got it all. And the pressure on Wu Yang to try to make some magic here, try to find some attacks early on, something to get Kasumi Ishikawa less comfortable. Probably say this at least once a tournament, but Moneyball, if you keep stats and you just play the odds here, even if Wu Yang makes that shot every once in a while, she's not going to make it with a high enough percentage that Kasumi Ishikawa needs to change her game around that shot. Fooled once again. Wow. Kasumi Ishikawa's leaving no clues as to where she's going to go. Wu Yang, this is how she makes her living. Reading where the ball is going, getting there and chopping it back. She's a defender. And she's just completely on the wrong side of her body when Kasumi's hitting the shot. I am stunned. I mean, it's not to say Kasumi Ishikawa has impressed me in 2017, she's impressed me in 2014, every year since. But this is the best I've seen from her. Well, well. outright service point, a little bit of a taste of Wu Yang's own medicine. So human beings sometimes miss. Kasumi Ishikawa right now is excluded from that group. And finally, the curse of the commentator. If you prick her, does she not bleed? Still a long way to go. 3-0-9-2. One more point for Kasumi Ishikawa. That's the type of score you would see an exhibition point in some matches. Here it is. I don't think it's Wu Yang's style. Elisabetta Samara was the first I had seen to pull it off against Liu Shiwen in a women's match, the exhibition point. Will Wu Yang give that to her? We've seen greater comebacks. Not recently. I think Wu Yang's gonna fight this through. Nice placement here, wide out to the forehand. Ishikawa not happy with her thinking. Quick finger to the forehead there, the temple maybe. Door is closed. Kasumi Ishikawa, 11-3, 4 straight games, and finally the smile comes out. Wow, absolute domination. Well, this is thought-provoking. We talk a lot about the uprise of Japan right now, all the work, and still China leads. There's no question China is ahead of Japan. The question is the gap closing? Well, Kasumi Ishikawa as an individual player is making a strong case for her own improvement and staying on top of the squad. I know many fans watching right now live in China must be stunned. Wu Yang, you know, we saw Zhang Jike yesterday, and there was no question while Thiago Apollonia played fine that Zhang Jike was definitely dealing with something and far from his best, but Wu Yang just couldn't touch Kasumi Ishikawa today. Kasumi Ishikawa has set a new standard for herself, and wow, has she done it well. She will be the 4th semi-finalist to move on and fill that spot. So I'll be excited to see that. Enjoy the highlights and stick around. We've got more matches coming up for you in just a bit.